Oh, we've got a little bit different situation today. It's going to be a little bit unique. Today's episode of GM3X. I'm coming to you live from Norris Lake in Tennessee, where inside the house over there, right, where all the fancy stuff is, inside the house is all of my sleeping children, my sleeping bride, and my sleeping mother-in-law. So, those of us crazies that want to get out, that want to get together out here early in the morning, we got to do it outside. Sometimes you just got to figure out what it is that you're going to do. So I'm coming to you from outside today, and it's going to be a little different experience. But with that said, I have a story to share with you, one that my hope is will stir your heart as it stirs mine, one that will wrap up this series. We've been in this series called Spirituality, so this is going to wrap up that series. And I think my hope is, if our job has been done, that you will walk away today inspired, empowered, and ready to take on the world. So let's go ahead and kick off today's episode of GM3X.
Welcome to GM3X. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to one, a father to eight, and the founder of the 800% Elite Club. I hope you're ready for motivation, education, inspiration, celebrity interviews, and thought-provoking conversations, because it's 5:30 a.m. and it's time to rise and grind.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, what is today? Today is Friday, August 12th, 2022. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be. First and last time it'll ever be Friday, August 12th, 2022. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the absolute most, of this absolutely incredible day. Hey, good morning. I am coming to you live from Norris Lake. That's right, Norris Lake, right here in Tennessee, just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And it is absolutely beautiful, a little crisp out here this morning. So we got the hoodie on, which I'm super, the hoodie weather is my type of weather anyway. So it's a little crisp out here, but it's beautiful, and I'm grateful to be able to share this morning with you. This Norris Lake place is an absolutely beautiful lake. If you've never been here, never had an opportunity to be in this part of the country, it's just absolutely beautiful. The foliage. My wife and I had a conversation about the way I say foliage, but the foliage, the foliage out here is incredible. I mean, it's just so incredibly green. And we got in last night. We got in, later in the evening, 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. And my kids have never been to a lake. They've never been to this. They've been to the ocean one time. They've obviously been to the pool, but they've never been to a lake. And so we went down. This house sits right on the lake. And so we went down to the lake, and down there at the dock, right? Down there at the dock to the lake, there is a little trampoline, right? There's a trampoline that they can bounce on. There's also a one of those lily pads. I don't know if you've ever seen those lily pad things. You can kind of walk on water, right? They've got the lily pad over there. They also have a boat, a very nice boat. I'm staying at this is a friend of mine's house, and so we're going to be able to utilize his boat. He's got 2 jet skis, which we're super excited to get on the jet skis today. He's also got a paddle boat, but down there for us, so we're going to have an opportunity to spend some time with that. And across the lake from where we are, there is there's a rope swing, right? Old school rope swing, which is just amazing. So there's a rope swing out there, and so we came down. When we came in, we went down to the lake, and My son Joel was the first one in the water. All right, not surprising, right? My son Joel was the first one in the water. My daughter Savannah, she led the games that they played, right? She's always a leader. She's always like, let's move this way, let's move left, let's move right. And the other kids always fall in because she's an incredible leader, right? So Savannah led the games that they played in the water. Now, Willow, my daughter Willow, she led in the laughter category, right? She laughed more than all of them, right? And she was laughing and joking and splashing and doing back bends on the lily pad and all of these amazing things. My daughter Meredith was the first one to do a backflip off of the trampoline into the water, right? Which was absolutely incredible to experience. She's 6 years old. And my beautiful bride and my daughter Caroline, they sat on the trampoline and just kind of like soaked it all in, right? Caroline's not quite 2 years old, so they kind of sat on the trampoline and just soaked it all in. Now, my daughter Oakland was terrified with every step. Oakland was terrified as we walked down the steps towards the lake. Oakland initially said she wasn't even going to do that. And Oakland was terrified as we went out onto the dock and towards the boat. She was absolutely terrified when we got in the boat, which wasn't even on the water, like it's on the water, but not on the water. And she was terrified as she stood on the dock staring at this trampoline and staring at this lily pad. She was terrified with every step. But right before it was time to come in, right as it started to get dark, right, and we were getting ready to come in for the night, right before, my daughter, Oakland, took some steps out. She took some steps out onto the lily pad. And we clapped and we cheered and she kind of did a little dance. She was so proud of herself, right? And then she took a few more steps out and a few more steps out. And ultimately, just before we came in, she made her way about halfway down the lily pad, right? She made her way about halfway down, and it was a huge accomplishment. It was a huge accomplishment for her to make it halfway down this lily pad. And I will explain to you why that is a little bit later. I personally, while the kids were doing all of these things, I personally got in the water and I floated in my life jacket, right? I floated in the water on my back, and as the sun was kind of reflecting off of the water, I was just taking it all in, right? Like there is this electrical calmness in nature all around me. My guess is you can probably hear some of it now, right? You hear the crickets chirping. You can hear the leaves rustling. You can hear the water slightly moving. Everything's in motion. Everything's alive all around me. But yet there's this incredible stillness. It's incredibly calm. As I was just laying there soaking it all in, I was thinking about how the humans I love most are all around me. Right? The humans that I love most were in the water around me, all my kids and my wife. I was thinking about the humans that I have around me that I love most, those of you that share the mornings with me on Breakfast with Champions and share the mornings with me on Facebook. And I was just thinking about this being heaven on earth. That's literally what it felt like. Heaven on earth. We're going to dive in and talk a little bit more today, but before we do, y'all know what we got to do on this show. For those of you that are over on the Facebook side, We got some music for you this morning. You can do some dancing. This is when you're going to get that body in motion, right? An object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So we want to get that object in motion. If you're out on a run this morning, let's go ahead and kick it up a notch. If you are lifting weights, maybe in the weight room, go ahead and add a few pounds. If you're laying in bed this morning, I'm going to need you to get up and get moving because we got stuff to do today. And if you're somewhere across the pond, maybe you're midway through your day, I don't care where you're at. Just start dancing. People will be looking at you like you're crazy, but just start dancing anyway, right? Just start dancing anyway. There's never enough reasons to dance. It's so good for the spirit, so good for our soul, right? So this is the part of the show we're going to do a little dance. We're going to get that body in motion. This is also the part of the show where I want to say good morning to you, and I want you to say good morning to me. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching on replay, say what's up, and I'll say what's up back. And of course, this is the part of the show where I need you to hit that share button. That's right. I need you to hit that share button because I believe if we can change the way you start your day, it'll make a massive impact on this planet. And sometimes all it takes to change the way somebody starts their day is for you to hit that share button. So let's see, over on Clubhouse, I see Christina's with us. I see we've got Dora, Maria, my man TM is in the building. I see Renee, I see Vince, I see Justin and Yin, I see Mary Lynn and Kate, I see Renee and Annette and Ella and Patty and Arpit, I see Mac and Tom. Lady Jules is up in here. Good morning, Coco. How you doing, Shelly? How you doing, Jackie? Good morning, Anthony and Peter. I see Pamela's in here this morning. Good morning, Tanya and Danielle. Anthony's in the building. Go ahead, Michelle. I see you. I see Wood and Maximilian, Mary Kim, M. Dayton, Regina. My man Don Sankey's in the building. Bobby's up in here. Nikki and Jackie and Kim and Nathaniel and Muhammad, the young man, the young motivational speaker from around the world. David's up in here. Allison, the best president one, is up in here. Selena and Dia. The Mother Funda is in the building. He was dropping some knowledge on us yesterday. Da is up in here this morning. Natasha and V and Carmel and Maria. I see Michael and Jeff and Terrence and Kermit and Tony and 10G. My boy Tim in the house. What's up, Coach? And Lisa and Wendy and Daniel. Super Mario is up in here. How you doing, William? I also see my girl Tara is in the building. She's amazing. If you guys are connected with her, I don't know what's wrong in your life, but I highly suggest you connect with Tara. It'll make it all better. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. I got a little feedback there. Hold up. There we go. I also see Michelle Streets is in the building. Okay, I'm gonna have to kill that music. I see Michelle is in the building. I see Paula Collins. I see West Storm is up in here this morning. Great to see you. Brian Hoskins in the building. I'm glad you're here. Bunch of folks up in here this morning. I love it. All right, I'm gonna kill that so that there's not feedback over there on the Clubhouse side. All right, cool. Thank you for choosing to be here with me on this Friday morning. Super excited to spend some time with you. I've got a story to share here in just a second. But first, for those of us over on Facebook, we got to hear from the Good News Girls that are in the building. Check this out.
Good morning. Good morning. What? Girl, we got a lot to celebrate today. I'm trying to put two and two together, and I don't know what that means. Well, I found this clock here in Glenn's office, and the time hasn't been changed in 5 years. Why has it been 5 years since that's been updated? Well, because, for the last 2-something years, I've lost count now. We've been in a pandemic with shortages. So there's been a pumpkin spice shortage when it comes to the stuff that goes in Oreos. Okay. And on top of that, Oreos always switch up their flavors, you know. There's always certain things. But now they're bringing back pumpkin spice.
Oh, so are we gonna reset the clock? We're gonna celebrate, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna eat some pumpkin spice Oreos this year.
I actually grew this pumpkin spice flavored pumpkin right here on my new farm already. Oh, what a nice pumpkin there you have, Miss Alex. That's what it's gonna look like when you eat all those pumpkin spice Oreos.
It's not a baby, it's pumpkin spice Oreos.
Time to turn those clocks back. Get your Oreo on.
Congratulations!
Congratulations! You had a pumpkin spice Oreo!
100 of them.
I'm Alex Troy from Lexington, Kentucky. I went to Henry Clay High School and I am running back. Running back, is that my position? Point guard. Okay, we're done. Okay, we're done. Goodbye! Have a great week and get some pumpkin spice Oreos.
Going there in about 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7. And then we're going to be rocking and rolling again. All right, so check it out. My family and I, this is our first time to the lake. However, we did go on a family trip to an island once. We went to a place called Bald Head Island, and wow, Bald Head Island is beautiful, right? You take a ferry over to the island, and the ocean is just beautiful. The views are beautiful, as you can imagine, as it would be on probably any island, right? But this island is just really spectacular, and everyone on the island rides bicycles and golf carts, and there's no vehicles on the island, and it's just this tropical paradise, right? It's absolutely beautiful. And so we went to Bald Head Island, and we went there for a week. We spent a week there, and on the island they have a couple little clubhouse type, what would you call them, like athletic clubs, those type of things. And those things have restaurants in them, and then they've got the pool in there, these big fancy pools and all of these things. And so you can swim in the ocean, you can go swim at the pool, you can enjoy the restaurants, you can go to the shops, you can eat the ice cream, right? You can do all of those things. So it was a really special trip. It was the first time my kids had ever seen the ocean. And one day we were over at the pool, right? So we went to the pool, and there's lots of people at the pool. There's people everywhere at the pool. And so Oakland is at the pool. All my kids are at the pool. They're all swimming, so on and so forth. Oakland and Fisher require floaties, right? The rest of them do not. And so Oakland's got this thing strapped across her chest that puts floaties on her arms, but then it's also a safety clip, around her chest, versus the old floaties that you and I had when we were young, that, one of them floaties just popped off. You'd just be hanging by one arm. These things are strapped across the chest to keep them safe. And so Oakland just dove right into the water. She's in the water. She's got her floaties. She's swimming around everywhere. There's people everywhere, but she don't care, right? Because she's in the water. That's all she cares about. And so she didn't want to be held. She didn't want to be touched. She didn't want to be played with. She was just like cruising around this pool. It was amazing. We were like so proud of how brave this young lady was. And so we're going through the day, right, doing all the things, and I'm counting constantly, right? When you have as many kids as I do, it's just constant count, right? You're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, everybody's safe, right? And so as the day progressed, there's a playground next to the pool, and the playground's got a gate around it. It's got a big handle up at the top, right? That's at like 6 feet or something. So only, an adult or an older child is going to be able to get in and out of the playground. And so the kids moved over towards the playground side, and they went in the playground. They're playing in the playground. Well, Oakland can't really play in the playground with this floaty contraption on, because it's wrapped across her chest. It keeps her arms from being able to move. And so I took that off of her, and we all went into the playset area, which is caged off and separate from the pool. So I felt comfortable taking those off of her. So I took that off of her. They were all playing on the playset. My wife and Caroline were still in the pool. So while they were all playing, I left the play area, came over to the pool area, got back in the pool to talk to my wife and Caroline. Well, fast forward a few minutes, my wife and I were talking, and I turn around and I hear Oakland crying, and I see a gentleman that I don't know, a man in his 60s, carrying my child. He's carrying Oakland, and she's screaming, crying, and pointing. She's pointing to me. And so this man walks over, and he's got this very disturbed look on his face, and he says to me, as he hands Oakland, or as I rip Oakland out of his arms, he says to me, he says, "Dude, she walked straight into the pool and sunk to the bottom like a rock." And I was just so confused. I didn't understand what had happened. She was over at the playset. She was safe. And, this guy hands her over to me, and apparently it was quite a traumatic experience for both her and for him. And so we obviously got her, and we, rubbed on her, loved on her, got her calm, all of those things. Put the floaties back on her, got her back in the pool, and she refused to be let go. She refused. Before, she was swimming all over the pool with ridiculous confidence, full bravery. And after this experience, she was terrified, just like she was when she went down to the lake last night. And so, not a proud parenting moment, right? We moved on. We finished our trip out there at the island. Fast forward to 2 nights ago. Wednesday night, my wife and I were laying in bed. We're excited about this trip right here to go to the lake. And we were laying in bed, and Oakland was laying in bed with us, and we were talking about making sure that she had the right floaties and just all talking through all the things we would need for the trip. And Oakland speaks up, and she says to us, she says, "Mommy, Daddy," she said, "I had a dream." We said, "You did?" She said, "Yeah, I had a dream that I jumped into a pool without my floaties, and that I sunk to the bottom, and that a strange but very kind man picked me up and brought me to Daddy." And we were both just kind of like, wow. Because she was 2 years old when this happened. She's 3 now. It was a year ago. So she told us about this dream that she had. That's what she called it. And so after she shared that, I laid there quietly, and I had like a knot in my stomach, And I know my wife did too, but I just had this knot in my stomach. And I started thinking about what our life would have looked like had that man not seen her go under. Because there's a lot of people at this pool, man. She would have easily just gotten, just disappeared. And so I started thinking about that. I started thinking about what our life would have been like. And I thought about how, I just thought about like how my wife would have never, I'm sure she would have never forgiven me, right, for taking the floaties off. And her brothers and sisters, the way they would have looked at me as their father. And I started thinking about all of those things. And I immediately at that point, I just immediately started to pray, right? And my prayer was, Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come, Lord, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for protecting my family in that moment, for protecting Oakland in that moment. Thank you so much for all the moments that I don't know about, where you're protecting this heaven on earth experience. Like I just poured out gratitude to God for saving me and us in that situation, and who knows how many others. So then after I got done praying, my wife says to me, I don't want to go to the lake tomorrow. Right? She was like, I'm out. I don't want to go. And so we talked through that. See, my wife and I have very different relationships with God. You see, in that same moment that I was praying gratitude for all that God has done for us, my wife was praying for him to protect us here at the lake. Like she went into a space of fear and anxiety. And so she was praying for protection for this particular trip. I was praying for thanks for the last trip. But we have very different relationships with God. See, I was thanking God for what's already been done and for what I know will be done in the future. You see, I know that God is out in front of me. I know that. I know he's out in front of me protecting my path. And my wife also knows that he's out in front of me. But we approach God differently. She approaches asking for help. I approach thanking him for the help I know he's already given. But see, that's the true nature of spirituality. Right? Like my wife and I each have our own path towards God. And see, by definition, spirituality is the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. See, you can't buy the joy that was in my son's face as he was jumping off of the rope swing yesterday. You can't bottle up the level of accomplishment as Oakland bravely stepped onto that lily pad and made it halfway down. You can't bottle that up. The magnitude of love that my family shares cannot be replicated. It cannot be distributed. It cannot be manufactured. You see, it only exists at a spiritual level. That's the only place that it exists. It is deeply connected, uniquely, like correlated with the human spirit. And see, I believe the same is true for you. All that you seek, all that you desire, all that you can imagine, all of that exists on a path of remembering who you are. You see, this week it was important to me that you and I have a conversation around spirituality, because I see the world moving in a certain direction. I see the world moving in a path of silos, in a path of division. I see the world pulling and tugging apart at the human spirit. And so my hope and intention this week was to compel you to remember who we are We're not the physical. We're not the tangible. We're not the replicatable. We're not the things that you can build or craft or create. But we're ultimately the spirit, the soul, the things that you can't look with your eyes, look at with your eyes, the things that you can't taste with your mouth, the things that you can't hear with your ears. It is that part of you that exists outside of the physical. And the path to that is an individual one. The path to that is one that can only be taken by you in your unique way. You as a child of God, the God of the universe, the God that made everything. That God made you to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Not an average version, not a below average, not an above average, and definitely not a copycat version. The best version that you can be. Your path, right? And so it is out of love. I want you to know, if nobody's told you yet today, I absolutely stinking love you. I do. As my brothers, as my sisters, I absolutely stinking love you. And it is out of love that I challenge you to seek the moments where you can experience heaven on earth, and to seek a path where you can experience God in a way that only you can. And most importantly, love others as they do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for this week on spirituality. Next week is going to be very interesting. We'll see how you guys feel about next week. Next week, we're actually going to do a whole series on, I'm not even going to tell you. You're going to have to come back on Monday. But hey, we're going to have a discussion about this over on Clubhouse. So if you want to come join me, we're going to hang out there for about another 25 minutes over on the Clubhouse side. But we'll talk about what came up for you through this week, through this series, and through our stories today. So thanks for spending some time with me. Have an amazing weekend. I know I sure am. Me and my fam, we're going to experience each other on a spiritual level this weekend, and I'm super excited about that. I hope you'll have the same opportunity. Fair enough? Fair enough. All right, get out there. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing weekend. I'll see you on Monday.